Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again on this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit Venus, sextile, or trine one's natal south node. Now, this could manifest in love, enjoyment, relationships, money, and values. This could be in harmony with what you're going away from. Now, I'm going to elaborate and expound on that. The thing is about this transit. Now, what we love and enjoy, or I should say, your relationships, which can include significant friendships and romantic connections. These people may be more in favor of what you're trying to get away from and being supportive of this at this point in time. It can be whether it's maybe a job or a situation in your life where you become overly complacent. The South Node is in Pisces. It could be too much lethargy or too much relaxation. It might be over, sacrificing too much to the point where maybe it's to your detriment, where you haven't been able to do things for yourself. As an example, it's about really, having more value. Also, too, in the past, it can be, people that were prominent, in your past. It could be people from your early childhood. It may be somebody that you knew in your early education, maybe a friend that you knew from the past, and you're reconnecting with this person. The South Node is not all bad. What it is, though, is it's something that generally you're trying to need to get away from to some degree. It doesn't mean you can't incorporate it with the North Node to some extent, but the South Node, the North Node is what you're really trying to emphasize and accentuate, especially more so in the second half of life, say around age 35 and after. Now, the thing about this too, since Venus is also connected with money, it could be about having the money to be able to do things. It could be with those people that may have been prominent in your past. Some of you either reconciled, or I should say rekindled, a connection with somebody. This could be the time to have that money to be able to do so, or at least you feel more like spending that money um, in connection with this person. It can be, if you're somebody that's already prosperous and affluent, you're going to have the money to do things, regardless of transits. But transit like this, you're going to have more, you're going to feel more like spending it, I would say, more so than other times on average, most other times. Now, it can also be a time, and keep in mind that this is, the South Node is what we're trying to leave behind. And the thing about it is the fact that this is Venus is about money. Some cases it could be a monetary situation, or it could be easier to leave behind. Say if you had been, doling out money to somebody or something for some time, and you feel like you don't need to be doing this for whatever reasons. Uh, maybe you've been enabling somebody, for example, not realizing it. This could be a time where you could be more apt to do this and be able to leave this situation behind and do it peacefully and without worrying about some kind of repercussions. You might face a negative response, and even if you do get a negative response as a result of doing this in the example I just described, you'd be able to still carry out the action, I'd say, a little bit easier at this time than in many other instances. Now, the South Node is also connected with our overdeveloped and redundant qualities, and it's a thing like when you have this transit, there can be a time where you actually may be able to value. I wouldn't say value, but if you're trying to, at this time, um, I won't say leave behind completely, because those overdeveloped redundant qualities. The South Node energy is going to stick with you, during the course of your life to some degree. But it can be where your relationships that are there for you, those ones that are, whether it's a significant friendship or it's a romantic connection, these people may be able to be there to help you deal with those with that energy better at this time. If you're, somebody, say you have the South Node in Sagittarius, it could be that you might have targeted one particular belief or philosophy that may have been to your detriment, and it could be where, these people may be able to help you, go and be more diverse, in your belief system. As an example, it might be, South Node in Aquarius could be very, idiosyncratic or rebellious or overly non-conforming behavior just for the sake of being unique and different. And when you have those transit, the people that you're in, those relationships with, whether they're significant friendships or their romantic connections, they could be more beneficial to you in dealing with that energy more so than usual. And also too, on the positive end, South Node is what you're naturally, could be what you're naturally proficient in. And I have my South Node in Virgo in the fifth house, so that could get very good. Could be ability to extrapolate, which is Virgo, data in sports, the fifth house of sports, and just general intellectual, analytical amusement and enjoyment, at this time. And that's where I could be very good at being analytical in things that I truly enjoy. And it can be a time to, when you have this transit, where the relationships can be there for you, for to do things with you associated with that placement, that energy. And it could also be a time where you have more enjoyment in those things. Venus is also about our self-worth, our self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself. So it can be where we're doing these things, applying things, actions that are associated with the South Node placement, that are connected with your built-in abilities. These things can pay dividends for how you feel about yourself and your self-worth and self-esteem. Now, also too, this could be, keep in mind, the South Node also though is about energy that can affect you to your detriment. And the thing about this is, it's like if you have the South Node in Aries, say, it could be being overly combative or quarrelsome or too aggressive, to the point where you might rebuff other people. And it's a time where you can, if you're trying to find somebody, people to help you deal with that energy, again going back to Venus being connected with relationships, whether they're significant friendships or romantic connections, they could be there for you to deal with that energy more. And also remember that Venus is also about art, and it's about if you sometimes just finding a quiet place and being able to express yourself artistically may be able to help you, get away, with the energy connected with the South Node that might be very adversely affecting you. This is also, the South Node is also associated with your comfort zone, and where you may become very complacent and relaxed. And because it's naturally, these are things that you feel comfortable with and that you could actually do well and even flourish in. But it's a time when you have, this transit where it's really about trying, to get away, from that energy. I wouldn't say completely from that energy, but when you have this transit, I would say relationships can help you, get away from that to some degree. Keep in mind, I did state before that it's a time where you can still express that energy, because Venus is about values, and again, it's also about your self-worth. And the expression of anything that may be positive in connection with the South Node, such as where you're naturally proficient in, that could pay some dividends for your self-worth. But in general, the South Node is really what you are trying to get away from. Remember, when you have this transit, when transit Venus makes a sextile or trine to your natal South Node, it's also going to make a sextile or trine to your natal North Node. If you have, say, the transit of Venus making the sextile to the natal South Node, if it makes a sextile to it, it's going to be making the trine to to the natal north node. So it's a good aspect also for the north node at this time as well. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now another way this transit could manifest, it could be the relationships, which is Venus, could be in harmony, in agreement with what you are trying to get away from, which is the south node. Now let's say, for example, if the natal south node is in Aries in the 12th house, it could be a acrimonious, which is Aries. It could be outbursts that may be tied in with one's self-undoing, which is the 12th house. It could also be very auspicious to receive money, which is Venus. It could be in connection with somebody from the past, which is the south node. Let's say, for example, if the south node is in Aquarius in the 6th house, it could be somebody that you provided some computer or astrological, which is Aquarius, service, which is the 6th house too. Now, it could also, this transit could be positive for peaceful, which is Venus, the interaction with people that were prominent in your past, which is the south node. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal south node is in Virgo, it could be a Virgo sun, moon, or ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Virgo characteristics. And it also could be a time where it's easy to love and enjoy, which is Venus, that comfort zone, which is the south node. And if the let's say if the natal, the south node, is in Leo, in the 4th house, it could be, being, dominant in your home life, or perhaps even creative expression out of your home as well. And anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.